Hey everyone, welcome to the Act 2 Session 1 vlog. So, enjoy!
Yes. For those people who are watching who have no idea why Kiwi is with me, Kiwi, by the way, is someone who was in my Mass Effect tabletop campaign. He is actually here to help take care of Brody, my son, so that I can actually record and do these sessions with people so I can actually play. So thank you.
Of
Thank
course!
you.
A
Thanks,
legend.
Kiwi.
Kiwi, he's our hero.
Kiwi also is here because he has helped me with session one. He's helped me a good amount of session one, so I figured you could just sit in and talk. And we can't reveal any spoilers, but
Obviously.
yeah. But let's go. What do you guys want to talk about? Discuss
God.
thoughts,
Okay,
questions.
There's so much, like a whole list. We'll let Jordan go.
Right.
Roll for initiative.
Yeah, roll for initiative.
Let's start with something not that bad.
All right, so
I don't know. It's still pretty bad.
so Juan broke up with Naila.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that happened.
What a good
You
meme.
couldn't wait a couple days, like.
No,
Nice
I
work.
want to know,
I couldn't
Kiwi.
lie to her.
Kiwi, did you feel like Naila whenever there was the opportunity to roleplay with Skylar and Wani? He's pretty much just like, I need you to go away for a minute.
What did that feel like?
Yeah.
I want to know what that
I
That's
thought it would-
in character. He doesn't
I was
want
hoping
to
for
show.
more Skylar. What happened to
Okay.
Carlos?
He got experimented on,
Yes.
and then he killed himself because it was just too. It was too much. He couldn't stand
That
it.
was-
He couldn't take it.
And that
That-
was the reason why the last time we were chatting, I was actually looking at the notes, and Hart was just writing stuff. And that's the reason at some point I just go like, because I see what's happening
That
to
was-
Carlos.
That was like probably the hardest I cried. I turned off my camera because I didn't want to take it off Clef because I was like sitting there going, sobbing. I was like, that is rough, man. Jesus.
And all the
Yeah,
writing on
that
the
was-
wall. The writing's on the wall.
Uh,
So one of my favorite parts of the campaign was super early on, or the campaign of this session was super early on, where I felt like Owl took like a leadership role and was like trying to lead, but not like tell us what to do. And I liked a more vocal Owl. I feel like this whole session.
Yeah, I'm excited to play him as an adult. I feel like I think he'll come full circle into a more fuller character that has a voice, because his voice was often, I don't know, like when the four of us were playing together, like he was just naturally the least vocal player, so it made more sense. But now that we're having our own sort of single session scenes, I think you guys are going to get to see a little more of him. And that way, when we convene for like scenes where we're in together, he'll hopefully be able to kind of play a more active role with the PCs.
And I think he like feels more like less hesitant to stand up for himself. Like the part with us where he's like, I don't think I forgive you. I was like, that's my boy.
Love that. That was one of my favorite parts.
Tell her, that's right, you go.
That surprised me, because in my head he was like gonna forgive, and like the moment they had to interact, I was like, no, like he's not okay with this anymore, and he's allowed to be angry.
I was all like, bitch.
I loved it. It's like when Toby stood up for himself. I was just clapping, like, got her, get her.
Listen, I do what I do out of love. Makes
Clef,
it
I have a question for you as well.
go ahead.
Okay. How long did you know you were going to be disguised as me before you said it?
every moment of it.
Like, I knew it was going to be funny, but to be honest, the moment Hark said, "What are you disguising as?" I saw you like and said, "It was Brandon Carr."
Nice. I loved it. I love how patriotic you think I am.
Wait, you're not patriotic?
Oh, I'm very patriotic. I just didn't
Okay,
know I
that's
showed
right.
it that often.
That's the right answer.
When I think it's interesting for Juan, because as a spy, Juan is such an emotional character. So to mask Juan is not easy emotionally. Like Transfiguration, he can look like Brandon Carr, but to put his Juan tendencies away is really fun to watch Clef have to make that struggle as a player.
I was just gonna ask, like, his voice didn't change, right? Like, his voice is still Juan.
I would imagine
Um,
an accent.
I think that's true. However, I think that this, like, he became a spy for a reason, so I think he's been training. Part of the conceal or disguise role that he
Okay,
rolled
so all of that together.
includes being able to alter his voice to not sound like Juan. So
Yeah, so that changes. Yeah, no, it was really hard, like managing the like when I saw Carlos's file, I was like, oh god, okay, so that's why he went from like jovial Brendan Carr to like barely speak. Come on, let's do this, so that he can't, so that he doesn't go one. You know?
yeah, your path was the one I was most looking forward to seeing how you would play it out, because I was telling Kiwi, you know, your disguise, you're gonna run into Finn and Chance. Is he gonna reveal himself? Is he just gonna keep his disguise? Then, you know, you'll see what's happening with Carlos's file. Is he gonna break down, or is he gonna like still keep up the front? And if he does break down, does he finally reveal himself to Finn and Chance if that's the case? If he hasn't yet. So I wasn't sure what you were gonna do, if you were gonna keep up, how much you were going to commit to your disguise. But so far it seems like you've been committed to your disguise the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'm a spy. The only thing that's going to be hard is when they find out that I betrayed them. Fuck.
Yeah.
Because I've been living with them for like a month, you know?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I had a question for Rox.
That's
So
me.
what was Rox going to do between them two? If, like, let's say they didn't stand down, was she gonna?
Mm-hmm.
What
Between
was her
Tritessa and
thought process? Yes, and Nico. If neither of them stand down, both of them are ready to fight.
I thought about this, and honestly, she'd just watch. She like
just wouldn't get involved.
she wouldn't be able to do anything really to stop them from hurting each other without getting herself hurt. She would just like, all right, I'll yell
So
about
all her threats were just like kind of empty, like just leave, kind of.
completely.
I like that.
In the end, and it would only be for those two. It would be a different story if it were people she didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Roxy's a bit weird like that. But like they happened to be two people that were very important to two people that were very important to her. So she was just trying to, you know, make it as inevitably if one of them got hurt, it would be way more than just like her getting angry. Like then, you know,
Yeah.
Ruby and Al might be angry at each other. Like
how things developed relationship wise with Nico and Tritessa for Roxy greatly factored into how this scene played out, because I felt that Tritessa, even though she wasn't super close with Roxana, I don't think Roxana ever wronged Tritessa. And I think Roxana actually was really nice to Tritessa, even when they disagreed on things. And so that's why I felt like, well, Tritessa's not going to start something at Roxana's bar if Roxana doesn't want her to do that. So that helped a lot. And then Nico actually had a little crush on Roxanne at some point. So he was more willing to, like, you know, to back down as well. So had your relationship with those two been different and not as good as it ended up, then yeah, that would have played out a lot differently. So
because like that's the thing. It's like if it's her friends that show up, or well, people that at least she is acquaintances with or are close to people she's close with, she is gonna threaten. But no, she never took out her wand, not once. She had it on her and she just never took it out. And had it been fruitless, there's nothing she could have done but watch, really, in her mind anyway. So yeah, completely fruitless.
Can you give us some insight onto Nico's choice to be like that progressive? Like that's the one I'm I don't think it's a wrong choice. I'm just curious, like, what was his motivation? Because we didn't see a lot of his, I guess, values or beliefs when it comes to that in Act 1.
Nico is Nico. I felt like he could go either way, really. And just for the sake of the narrative, I thought would be really interesting is if he ultimately went a different direction from his twin sister. Because I thought it would. Because I felt like the twins always agreed with each other throughout growing up. They always agreed with each other and always stayed together, even if one of them felt like had a differing opinion. But I don't think it was strong enough that one of them eventually didn't fall. So because like the decision, you saw that when they were being sorted into Mahatokoro, and he went. Nico went to UK, but Asa was offered all three. And honestly, the only reason she picked UK was because her twin was there. Not because she necessarily liked UK the best, but because Nico was there. So she wanted to be with Nico. And I think now that the twins are getting older, they're starting to think a little bit more for themselves. And for Nico, he normally defaults to Asa because Asa's smarter than him, or at least he feels like he's smarter than him. So he doesn't always forms a lot of these strong opinions. But I think like over the course of the year, he's starting to like question like some of the more traditionalists and is becoming a little bit more progressive and a little bit more rebellious. So eventually I had him land more into the progressive standpoint, and that I thought would make more of an interesting like narrative with the twin story of having them having these different going these different paths. So
I wasn't sure if it was because of what Asa did to Al, and he was almost like taking the stance of that's not okay.
I think that actually is a very strong argument as well. I think that when Nico found out about what Asa did to him, he's starting to like question like obliviation and like erasing people's memories, and I think that also played into him questioning stuff as well. I think that it's safe to say that he was probably more traditionalist at the end of Act 1, like at New Year's Eve. If you were to ask him if he was traditionalist or progressive, he would have responded traditionalist. But I think over the course of 2 years, he slowly changed and became more progressive. Good question.
I had another question for you, Hark. All the NPCs and PCs had a part in the like 2-year jump except for Aika. Was that intentional, or was it just other things going on in Aika?
Aika was at the bar with Rox.
Okay, he just wasn't doing it.
He just wasn't really doing anything of significance because we were running out of time, and I didn't want to just throw Aika in just to throw him in. But I'm pretty sure Aika will still play a role in the near future too.
I got this real bad feeling he's gonna get drafted. They're gonna make him fight, because then it just like at that point it's not like she can go like, you went against what I asked you to do. It's like he doesn't have a choice. So like at that point it's like you gotta stick by your man. Okay.
Well, because of what just happened in Koldovsorets, I mean, that was the first like major military strike against the Wizarding World, and I'm sure that's going to have repercussions. Because no other magical strike has happened. They have not quite found any of the Ministries of Magic yet, but you're probably thinking it will be inevitable that they're going to at least find one of the Ministries of Magic.
And it kind of brings me on to the next thing. It's a little bit interesting to me because I feel like everyone, like the boys have changed pretty noticeably, especially Levi, who is talking very different.
Yeah, he was.
What's up with that? It's a lot more serious. And then Albion's talking more and he's taking charge more. And then Juan's a bit less emotional. He's got a bit more control over his emotions. The only one who hasn't changed yet is Roxy.
I think her not pulling out her wand is a big change, actually. 100% a bigger change than I think you may know. Because Rox's first instinct is always like, get away. Like, do what I say. Where she was using her words more than like I can kill you. It
Yeah.
was more like, let's not do this. So I think that Rox has actually changed. I did notice the change in everybody. I can only kind of speak on Levi. Is when I kept picturing him over our break, I picture him getting more mature. Like Levi's rubbed off on Chessa, but Chessa's also rubbed off on Levi, where it's like he's taking things more seriously now. And like now that war is happening, now that he's going to be a father, it's going to be 10 times more. He's like,
yeah, he's still got a sense of humor, but like especially when he was talking with Natasha, it's more like a dry wit. Like he's very dry.
Yeah. I think if you were to get into his head that moment, like everything she was showing him and stuff was like super cool to him. Like in his head, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is great."
Yeah.
But then like when it's stuff he likes.
Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
Exactly. It's Star Wars. It's stuff like inside his head. He's like, "This is so cool. Why can't we do?" But he's trying to think logically. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we could trick a whole world into thinking it was aliens.
That would have been a Levi idea that he would have come up with 2 years ago. Like that would have been like, yeah, this is gonna work, guys. He would have been the one like Natasha, like trying to say this is perfect.
Yes, he would have helped Natasha. He'd be dressing up little alien men. Like, all right, now just go out there and say these lines.
I really like the two Natasha scenes that happened, like both at the lab as well as at the ministry when she was transforming everyone's robes, because you can tell the girl, she's trying so hard to be taken seriously and she's trying so hard to contribute something meaningful.
Yeah.
So it was rough playing against Levi, because Levi's like, this isn't a great idea, and not really supporting her, and she's like, I'm trying really hard to like.
This is the hardest I've ever like attempted to do anything. So
which when. You know for sure when she heard like Levi's coming, she's like, "Oh, he's gonna love this."
Right, he's gonna love this.
She was probably so excited.
It's like, we'll check off on this. We'll get funding. We'll get all this funding.
Amazing. But my point that I was gonna make was that like everyone else, I would say, has changed pretty drastically, but Roxana still kind of keeps the way she talks. Is what I was trying to say. It's like the way people are talking and carry themselves has changed, but with Roxy not so much. She's still kind of, is peppy, and I think the reason that is she's just like her like little fantasy world that she's living in right now. It's like, yep, these are two separate things. And I think like when the change was more noticeable is when they were no longer two separate things and she had to actually deal with the situation. But the thing is like, yeah, she's going to use her words, but like she did like threaten them, even though she wouldn't have done anything to them. Had they been anyone else, it would have been a different story. But it's just that it was literally the worst two people to put together. It's like, well, what can I do? Be able to do anything.
I want to say to Levi, if Al is not picked as the best man and Rodney is, he's going to be upset.
What about my boy Chance? I got it.
I know there's a tough competition for it, but you just better consider Al's feelings in that.
You know what,
it's a major choice, major decision.
Me and Chessa talked about it. No best peoples ever.
No best people.
Actually, Chessa didn't even say yes yet, guys. What kind of cliffhanger is that?
You're very presumptuous.
Roxy and Aika have to get married first, obviously.
I mean, you guys can get married first.
We did.
I picture us getting married after the war. I don't picture us getting married anytime like next week or whatever. But it doesn't even seem like she was interested. I don't know. He cut it off at like right when I asked. I don't know. I'm putting it in my own head now.
One other note I had was I know it wasn't necessarily pivotal to the forward motion of the story, but I thought that Jordan's scene with her dad was a nice kind of, it closed the chapter for Act 1 that we thought Bartholomew Schvetz was this like key factor in the end, and he was, but he wasn't. So that put a nice closure to that chapter, and Jordan, I thought your role play there was phenomenal. So
okay, so like those tears are genuine. Okay, I was like, as soon as like Huck was like, also I really appreciate it, thank you so much, I tried very hard, but when Huck was like, oh, there's like one loose end we got to tie up, and I was like, oh, I wonder what it is, and he's like, Roxana, and I was like, oh yeah, my dad. I forgot he was a thing. Like legit forgot. But yeah, it was like it felt like a long time coming, and it felt like a nice little neat bow on that character arc. And oh god, like just the end closing section where like she kind of admits like, okay, like I know I said this, but it's because I was kind of angry and I want to feel that way, but I don't. And like he sings her like the lullaby, and it was just really beautiful. He's such an asshole, but it's like it was still
He is.
You know?
Yeah.
He's still
with Varfolome, I just wanted to establish he's not a good person.
No.
He's not a good person, and he's a terrible dad. And I think that the man tries, but he's failed a lot of the things that he tried. But he at least tried, and he knew that he needed to give Roxana closure at least.
Yeah.
And he's just some characters are just not redeemable, or if they are redeemable, they make choices that make the time to redeem themselves run out. And I think for him, it just ran out. And
his time ran out. And I remember like a lot of people were trying to like come up with justifications, like maybe he was a purist. And like this was like very, very popular fan theories at the time was like, oh, maybe he got imperious, maybe he was coerced, maybe his family was threatened. No, he's just a bad guy. That's the simplest.
Yeah.
I kind of like that it went that way, that it's just like,
yeah.
He was just a...
I heard those theories too. And, when I was thinking about them, I was like, they're great theories, but no, he's just not a good person. Sometimes that's just what it is. They're just not a good person.
like Alec. Yeah, it reminds me of Alec.
Yeah, like Alec.
But yeah, it was like, I just really, really liked it because I felt like, she got everything she needed off her chest. And like, say what you will about him, there's no denying he like doesn't love his kids. He does love his kids.
He does.
He just like the part that really got me is when he like said to her like, you didn't need me though. Alex needed me. And I was like,
yes.
And no, that
yeah. I'm glad that Roxana challenged him on that. Because in his mind, he felt, obviously growing up, your sister was very needy.
Yeah.
Especially monetary, at least financially very needy, and Alec was very needy of him because they just became super, super close. You are just someone that, in Varfolome's eyes, Roxy will be fine. Like, she's an independent person. She has her own mind. She reminds me of him. That's the thing. Like, you remind him. You actually take after him more than Alec takes after him, and that's why he's like, she's like me. She'll be fine. Yeah. She doesn't need me. So that's what he meant. Yeah. She'll be fine.
That's like something that's been stated from the beginning is Roxy's the most like Bartholomew. Like just in terms of personality. And the thing is, I think she spent so many years like kind of joking around and being that personality. When in reality, it's not that at all. And like she's doing that right now too, where she's just like, I'm just gonna work at this bar and I'm gonna have a gay old time. It's gonna be great. And nothing bad's going to happen. But Roxy, what if something bad does happen? Nah, don't think about it. Nah. Yeah. And I think the next time something bad does happen, like that's when the real switch happens. When it's just like, that's when she does kind of transcend or descend, depending on, what it is. Which I mean, like...
Do you think anything could cause her to take a side, do you think?
Yeah. I have thought about this, and like for the most part she's going to try and stay as neutral as possible, but it's like if something happened for example to her, like something that happened to Juan where like let's just say hypothetically like Ayika gets taken and he gets experimented on and he ends up going down that road, that's when she'd be like and it might actually get really dark for her for a minute. She might actually start like saying things she would never say before. Like the M word might get thrown around a little bit.
Muggle.
No, the other like she might actually start throwing that kind of shit around because, and like it'd be kind of interesting if that's how it goes, where she's kind of goes against the Muggles to see her become her father, kind of thing. You know, interesting.
I was just gonna say I did enjoy the scene in the beginning with Aika and Roxy, like talking about whether they should go out and find her sister. I thought that was a really sweet moment.
Yeah.
Everything with Finn and Albion was really cool. I just really like the relationship that they have in the sense that they're very communicative with each other. Like Finn always keeps Albion in the loop. He doesn't try to hide anything from Al. Like if he's putting himself in danger, he tells Al, "This is what I'm doing." And I kind of like just how transparent the two of them are with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al he's a conflict avoider like me. That's definitely a trait that we share. He's never wanted to tell Finn what he has to do, but I like that Finn getting shot caused him to be like, no, I don't want you to go out there, and I'm not gonna change that. Like, I'm done saying you can do what you want to do because I don't want you to go out there anymore.
Yeah. And I think it was completely fair for him to do that. And I think like out of everyone, they probably have the healthiest relationship. Because like it's not like they're yes men to each other.
No, they don't. Not at all.
I kind of feel like, well, obviously, like, sorry, Clef. Obviously, Juan and Ayla were healthy.
Ouch.
Sorry, you know I love you. We just gotta address the elephant in the room.
The whale in the room.
Actually, I think
the whale. Yeah.
I think Levi would say that Roxy and Aika are not healthy, but it kind of, to me, I thought it was kind of unfair how she said to him, "You have to promise me, no matter what you believe, you won't act on it. You won't follow what you believe in. Like, let's just pretend nothing's happening." I thought it was kind of unfair and a little bit childish that she asked that. But
I forgot who you're talking about.
She said to Aika, like, "Promise me."
Oh, Roxana asked. Yes.
You're not going to go, even if you change your mind, you're not going to act on it and like join a side in the war.
Roxy does that a lot though, because how Levi was like, "I gotta go," and she's like, "No, you can't go." And then 1 second later, she's like, "Oh, I gotta go."
Yeah, and like her reasoning for that was like her like immediate response is, "I gotta go." Is like, "Oh well, it's different. It's my sister. I know."
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Same reason like why she wouldn't have done anything if it was Nico and Tritessa and like not anyone else, because it's like, oh well, I know these people, so there's emotion here. But if it's nobody I know, then who cares?
Yeah,
it's a very dangerous thought process to have.
Yeah.
What is Clef gonna do with the goldfish whale in the bowl?
I mean, carry it around. It's a nice pet.
How long is it a goldfish for?
I mean, Juan is constantly
yeah.
reapplying the spell. So.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, don't forget it's there that it just turns back into a whale and crushes you.
No. I'm keeping it for something.
Great.
Okay.
He's gonna drop a whale on one of us guys.
Yeah.
Be
He
ready
really
for
liked that. He really liked that moment he had with the other fish. He wants to maybe reproduce that with the whale.
The nuzzling.
Yeah.
That was Brandon's car, my man.
That was Brandon Carr. Yes.
My body, not my mind.
Oh my! I did not realize Brendan was a fish person.
It's freaking Finn.
Thank you for not letting Toby get captured, Albion.
My God, thank you so much.
That would have definitely changed a lot of things if he was captured.
It was so close
because of what's in his head. What's in his Toby's mind is very valuable if the Muggles get a hold of him. So
I was worried that my crit fail on his notes was gonna have a more like long-term disastrous effect. So thankfully, it was just like some experimentation in the lab.
You know what I genuinely thought was gonna like happen? It's like, oh yeah, we've cured like the Obliviate spell. Everyone's got their memories back, and they're like, yay! And then all their heads simultaneously explode. Like,
Complaints.
Yeah. Well, I thought about that, but I thought realistically, even with that critical fail, that Toby would still run tests.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't just do something experimentally on a human being. Like he did it on some mice instead. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
What is everyone's thoughts on Al picking Asa first? Because he was still mad at her, but like he was ready to just take Toby out of there. But the moment he saw it was Asa, like that anger dissipated enough that he realized like he would hate himself if he didn't try to help her.
She was injured, so I think it's if she wasn't injured or something, and you took her before Toby, that's a little weird. But her being hurt, as bad as she was described being hurt, 100% makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shows he's the bigger man. He's a way better person than her, and he's just a nice guy in general. Yeah. If it were Roxy, it would have been like, push the rib further into.
Oh.
No, I wouldn't have done that. Yeah. No, it was like, I mean, me as a player was like, oh, just leave her to die. grab Toby, grab my boy Toby, but like, obviously, gotta stay in character. And if Toby would have died, it would have been like, well, who's wrong?
Two questions for Roxana. What are your thoughts on the rumors of the Ministry of Magic lifting unforgivable curses to be used in instances of self-defense?
She's happy. She can just go kill people now.
And would you use it? Would you use an Imperius on Alec to protect him from himself?
Okay, well, what she was getting at with her dad, but the conversation kind of like shifted over to something else. But she was gonna say like she actually can't cast it because
she can't.
I don't think she'd be able to meet the TN.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
she probably. I have to check.
If you have enough hoops, you could.
True. Give me all your hoops so I can. I mean, she would.
She would. Okay.
Because
she would.
Alec doesn't listen to her. Alec is gonna do whatever Alec's gonna do. Like he hasn't listened to her for years, or like really done anything. Well, not that we've seen anyway. In the campaign, hasn't really done anything for her. Like she's kind of just been trying to help him, at least from my point of view, anyway.
Sure.
Like she probably would. She wouldn't do Obliviate though, but she probably would Imperius.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like, yeah, I know she does know the other two. That's in my list. And Crucio she probably wouldn't use. I couldn't justify her using that unless it was like a revenge thing. Because I can see her being a very vengeful person. Like if you cross her, she's going to be like, all right, let's go. But like I can totally see like Avada Kedavra being thrown around, like if necessary. Yeah. Like yeah, she used her words, but when the shit goes down. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy that we finally got to play again.
Oh my god.
Been so long.
It's gonna get more insane, actually,
How?
from here on out.
No.
So
how? We're gonna have business.
Just you wait.
Is it on the scale of 1 to 10? How insane do you think it's gonna get from here?
35.
35? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say 35.
You know what's hilarious? Roxy got it the easiest, I think, out of everyone. Oh well,
that was pretty easy.
Levi got it the easiest because I did have to talk to my dad.
I didn't even have any challenges. I was just
I hate that guy.
checking out UFOs, and I got to speak to Rodney. I had it good.
Yeah,
You had it good so far.
Hopefully, just offer
baby.
next session.
Yeah, it's quit bringing it up because then Hark's gonna think I need to be heartbroken. So
You
I'm not
need
trying
to
have...
be.
No, why? I'm such a good guy.
Brendan said this to me himself. He likes the drama, so
I love drama, but I ain't trying to. Hark, why you gotta
Kill
shake your head
Chessa.
like that? Don't kill Chessa. She's got a baby.
No,
Don't do that.
Get the Muggles to kill Chessa so that
Don't do
everyone gets destroyed by the Muggles.
Listen,
Muggles are defenseless.
But you know who she really needs to be with? Roxy. I'll treat her right.
And
Well, if that happens, I'll just go for Naila and Be a really good boyfriend.
That's
to you.
true.
I do.
Naila's available now.
Nail is available.
Actually, Roxana and Naila. That's another one. Roxila.